Welcome. I'm Stephen Garvey from National Citizens Alliance of Canada. We have three of our distinguished members here with me tonight, and we're going to talk about a serious topic tonight, the federal budget 2021. This still has to be go through royal consent, and but we'll see what happens. We're pretty confident that it will go through, but tonight we're going to sketch out what we think is important, what is of serious concern, and we ask you to share your input. This affects every single Canadian, and what you see in this budget, whether you're from Australia, the UK, US, other Western countries, and even non-Western, these issues are happening to your country as well. So this has a global underpinning to it, and we're going to flush this out. Before we get started into the budget, it's important to understand how we got to where we were. So I'm going to put up one of the documents here, and this is a document we produced. So we went through the data, and this is the history of the federal debt from 1968 to 2020. And you can see the country's debt, 98.13% of it occurred during that time period. Prior to 1968, we had very little debt. And what happened in 1971, there was a shift in the public lending right, the ability to print currency. The Canadian currency went from the Bank of Canada to central banks. The so-called liberals, so-called conservatives, unfortunately, these are the only parties that have been in power since then. They've been printing the money like crazy. They've been building up the debt. And you can see here on July 10th, and this is just before COVID really took ground, the so-called Conservative Party was at 59.6% of the total debt, and the Liberal Party was at 38.53%. They're both fiscally completely irresponsible. And if we go down, it's changed since then. December 15 to 20, the Liberals have overtaken the so-called Conservatives, and the total debt of them combined is now 98.53, and that's even higher right now. And there's the numbers there. We're over 1 trillion in federal debt. Federally right now, it's actually 101.4. What is it? 1.13 trillion right now today. That's federal debt book value. This is the M1 money supply chart, and you can see how it's been going up since 2005 under the Harper regime, and it's just continued under the Liberal regime. This monetary supply, the M2, is no different than this, but it's basically inflation. The currency is getting devalued. Your cost of living is going up because of the money supply. We live in a fiat currency world, and they're using the money supply to keep the system going. This thing's going to implode, in my opinion. But now let's get to the debt, the budget issues. Now that's the background of this. I want to be very clear. This is we're very concerned at NCA what's going on here. Last year, the Liberals, the so-called Liberals, but they had the full backing of the so-called Conservatives. They added 381.6 billion to the federal debt last year. 381.6 billion, Marcine. Can you believe that? And that's all through money printing.
Well, my first question, is there a time in history where money printing has created real growth and prosperity? It's not possible. This is insane and irresponsible. That's my take.
Yeah, exactly. So this year, I'm gonna put we got a new member here. Maria's in here. Maria, I'm just doing a presentation on the findings. Yes. But this year they're proposing 101.4 billion additional debt. So basically, over the last 2 years, they're adding about $500 billion to the federal debt. This is what's going on. It's very concerning. This is all through the printing of the money, causing inflation. So the basic premise here is, why did they lock everyone down? You know, I know at NCA we didn't agree with that. We thought we should focus on protecting the most vulnerable while letting everyone else develop a herd immunity. But that didn't happen. They locked everyone down, and this is what's going to happen. Right now in the budget, they're hoping to wean off this by the fall, and you can see that in this document. I'm just going to add up another document here.
COVID has paved the path for the deletes, and I refuse to call them the elites, but has paved the path for them to roll out the digital dollars. Here come the social credits.
Yes, indeed. So this document, this is a good one to look at. It's from RBC, one of the major banks in Canada. It's the basic summary. And they talk about, and you can see it in this, that they're planning to wean off right here. They're going to start weaning off this Canadian emergency wage subsidy by the fall. And they're going to start weaning down the Canadian emergency rent subsidy as well.
How do you propose that they could do that?
Well, I guess they're hoping that this COVID situation will be stabilized through the vaccines, and but let's face it, Maria, that this thing could drag on further, couldn't it? And I ask everyone here, do not mention the word of the virus tonight, or we're going to be censored. Do not mention the word of the dab. You know what I mean, everyone. Otherwise, we're going to be censored.
Copy that.
All right. Do not mention those. Say if you're going to talk about, just say dab for you know what, and if you're going to talk about the other thing, just say lockdown.
Copy.
Otherwise, we're going to be censored. But here's this. Here's this. I had some real concerns with what they were doing. This thing with the seniors in the budget. It's like they want to keep our seniors locked in their homes.
They do.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what they were saying here. In order to protect and support seniors throughout the pandemic and for years to come, the government proposed strengthen long-term care and supportive care, as well as provide support for seniors to stay in their homes for longer.
No,
we don't want our seniors in our home. We want our seniors to live and enjoy their life. Yet the government is encouraging them to stay locked up. It's unbelievable. Another thing, too, I've issue with is this luxury taxes on certain boats and other things. To me, that's going to affect our economy. These are businesses that produce them.
No, I agree with you, Stephen. None of these are reasonable, practical, sensible measures. It's madness.
No, but it's terrible. It's going to hurt those companies, and then it's going to hurt the Canadian consumer.
Yeah, more pain.
You know, they've been locked up for so long. Maybe they want a boat now. Yet they're going to face a significant tax.
A big old tax.
Another thing, too, they're going after digital commerce, foreign and domestic. They're going to put hefty taxes on things like Netflix and other things. Guess what? That's going to be trickled down to the consumer.
Yep.
Costs are going to go up. Guess what? More inflation.
I have no reason to believe that they're looking for growth and prosperity. They're looking for us to lock down, toe the line, get in line for our social credits, do as you're told. Oh yes, this is not going in a good direction.
Yeah. I want to add one other point here. I don't have issue with the childcare, wanting to have great childcare in Canada, but I have issue with their proposal when we're a debtor nation. We have 352% debt compared to GDP as a country. Canadians' households are heavily in debt. I think it's as high as 180%. Yet they're going to spend $30 billion a year to 2025 to make childcare like I think it's $10 a day. But my point to everyone out there, This fiscally does not make sense. We're a debtor nation. You don't do this type of program when we're so much in debt. You do this when we have excess money, and then we can do it. But this is going to put us further in debt. Any comments?
Exactly. I mean, there's no reason to think that real output can be replaced with fake money. Like
But this is socialism too.
It totally is. That's what I
Why
say.
not let the private sector determine the childcare costs?
Yeah, they have their
Competition, fair competition. But we can't afford a program like that. This country is a debtor nation. We have over 1 trillion in federal debt, and it's growing. That's not even considering the provinces and the municipalities.
How did they propose they can stop any of this under the current situation? Like they can't just.
But I'll tell you who's happy with this: the banks, because that's where they're borrowing the money from.
Well, interestingly, on that note, there's all kinds of indications that the Fed has fallen.
Well, the Fed, yeah, the Federal Reserve and all the central banks, right?
Yes.
But
all the markers are there. So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out in real life. And what I'm noticing is, I mean, you'll notice, boy, it was just recently, I've got a list here of all the banks. Even the Royal Bank just last week was glitching out and having all kinds of failures. That's because it's gone down. That's a fact.
Yeah, there was a bad sign today. Microsoft, its earnings earnings were very poor. The stock fell 4% today.
All of them. Wells Fargo, JP
Yeah.
Morgan, Snoras, 1 billion in debt. It's tanked. HSBC is having all kinds of troubles. A well-known money launderer. The Middle East is experiencing some Forex scandals right now. The Citigroup is in trouble. Royal Bank here, Royal Bank of Scotland.
This is outrageous, in my opinion. What they're doing, the money they're spending. I would argue it's borderline criminal. You can't be spending this money. It's like a household. Let's say you have like 100,000 in debt, all hovering over you. You don't have the means really to pay it back at all, and you're adding more on.
Well, I think the intention there is to, of course, with the crashing of the economy, like jobs disappear. The economy, the middle class has all, in essence, disappeared. I'm going to say. I don't think. I personally don't think their interest is in our health, our financial health. That's not where they're taking us. We're down a deadly track here to absolute failure. So we can fail on our, people can fail on their mortgages and various things, so they can take the land back, stuff people into smart buildings. And yeah, this is not going in a direction that's good on any level.
Yeah, it's creating more dependency on government too.
Well, that's the whole idea. So, and then of course we're seeing now the rolling out of the central bank digital currencies.
Yes.
I mean, it's just my opinion, but once you sign up for that, and people will because they're in fear, you're hooked in. Like, that's social credits, and you can't function outside of it. You can clearly see that's where they're trying to take everybody. It's never going to work. I mean,
but it's really concerning. You can see that in the price of gold.
Now,
it's being completely manipulated. They're also going after Bitcoin now.
Absolutely.
They want to take Bitcoin down. They're going to get all the institutional money into a centralized, digitalized currency.
Yeah, no, they're totally terrified. But, their great reset, to say is a massive overreach, is an understatement. Like, it'll never work. People are getting wise. People are waking up, and there's options, for people. The option, if you want to get into cryptos, there's options there other than central bank cryptocurrency, which is a big danger. We have God's money, gold and silver. There's options available for people. And I don't doubt that there's going to be some breaking news in the very near future here regarding Jassara Nasara.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, but you got to be careful with what, we're not going to tell people what to invest in,
No,
but be
not.
very, very, very careful. There's a lot of warning signs out there. The amount of debt, I think the markets worldwide, they're inflated by over 200 trillion.
No, the debt is staggering.
So something's going to cut down. Look at the debt in this country. It's outrageous that they would be proposing, nothing against childcare and that's important. But when we're this debt ridden, how can you justify something like that? It's unbelievable.
And not only that, Stephen, it's impossible to return to any, and I do like to avoid the word normal because we're never going to go back to whatever we thought was normal. But how is it possible to return to any sensible monetary policy at this point? It's not possible.
It's almost beyond now.
It is.
Yeah, it just
That's disconcerting for me.
they just keep piling on the debt. The U.S. dollar's falling every day now. I was watching it today. It's dropping because they're spending so much monetarily and fiscally. This is only going to help gold and cryptos like Bitcoin. But I'm worried about the cryptos because they're definitely afraid of them, and they're going to go after them. The federal government is obviously already taxing any income you make off them, right?
Oh, and the fees are crazy.
Yeah.
And they're making the fees go up, so they're making it really difficult. But none of this can sustain. And I mean, I don't mean to scare anybody, but I have no reason to think that this won't end in some sort of disaster. But right on the heels of disaster, I think something will shake out.
Yeah, exactly. If there is, I'm predicting within 2 or 3 years, there's going to be a major correction in the markets. 30, 50, 60, 80% drop. But, that's a huge opportunity at the same time after that. But you don't want to be in the markets when that happens. Unfortunately, the cryptos are going to go down with it. So will everything. Gold will go down. Gold does well when people are afraid, but gold doesn't do well when people are in panic mode. And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a panic. Everything's going to drop. That's why precious metals is a good thing to have at that time. Something you can hold physically in your hands, right?
I agree.
But I'd be worried. I'm not in cryptos. I'd be very worried about it now, not because of the cryptos themselves, but because of what these central banks and governments are going to do to them.
They're going to try. I think they're going to try.
Yeah.
They're going to work out everything they have, but I don't think that I can't see how they're going to meet with success.
Look at China. China already has a digital currency they're putting out.
Oh yes, and easy for them to roll it out, but I don't really think
How
it's
is
gonna
that coming along?
gonna fly.
How's it coming along?
Yeah,
It's going along great in China because it's
Is
a
it?
communist dictatorship. They're doing everything they want. They have a social credit system. I just learned out the other day. It's so bad that they use that to determine whether you can have a soft drink. You can buy a soft drink at a store.
Yeah.
Yeah, how good you've been to the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff is trickling here. Back to the budget. This is outrageous the amount of money they're spending. This had nothing to do with childcare but this is outrageous. When we're so in debt, the economy's in so much trouble that to pour more debt, it's like putting more gas on a fire.
Absolutely. 725 pages of hot air and irresponsible. It's insanity.
Yeah, but I want to talk about that. You think the so-called liberals wrote that document? No. It was the bureaucrats in the shadows. It was the Privy Council and the special interests behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
And the so-called liberals just sugarcoated some of the things.
You are so right. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, this document is embarrassing. Honestly, like,
but remember, we have to be fair. The so-called conservatives last year basically wrote Trudeau a blank check.
Yeah.
During the lockdown.
Yep.
They said you can spend so much you want till September 30 to 20. So, it doesn't matter who's in there.
No, it's
But this is really troubling. Like, I just, the stuff on the seniors, to me, that was appalling. The fact that they want to encourage to keep them locked up in their homes.
and that people accept this is beyond me. They're clearly overstepping, part one, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms of the Constitution Act of 1982.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and they're coming off like there's more taxes on the horizon. Let's face it.
Well,
They're gonna tax everyone to the hill.
Yep, tax the daylight.
And they had this AI stuff rolling out right now.
Yep.
The World Economic Forum talks about a lot how they call it the fourth industrial revolution, and Trudeau puppet mouthed it a bunch of times already. But it's what that is merging AI with the physical reality and the digitalized biological reality, all three together.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. And, there was a jobs report out of the government. We're going to lose up to 40% of our jobs.
Oh, yes.
This isn't made up. So I don't understand what they're doing.
No,
like,
what I see here is potential for great chunks of society to collapse.
And then you got the universal basic income. They're going to be in the situation where they're going to have to give it because most people aren't going to have a job.
That's right. That's the plan, Stan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to look at this comment. This is Antonio. Thank you, Antonio, for joining us. This is outrageous what's going on. Outrageous. And it's not only Canada. This is happening in the U.S. U.S. is the kingpin of this. Yep. The amount of money they're spending is unbelievable. He says, quote, elites. Let's see that. Let's show that there. He said, elites of the world can kiss my ass. All right. He's mad, man. And he should be mad. If they think we're all going to comply, there you go. Yeah, good for you. You shouldn't comply with this.
I agree. Why would you comply? If you're a logical, reasonable thinking person with the ability to critically analyze anything, why would you comply with many things happening right now? Madness.
Oh my God! I just do you have any comments, Ken? Do you agree with what what we're saying?
No. You're saying the right things here.
Well, it's just reality. I went through it last night. I just couldn't believe it. So here's this document up here. I'll bring this back up. But this thing on the seniors was outrageous. Like they're paying to lock them up in their homes. And this thing with the students is that's much to do about nothing. They're waiving interest.
I was going to say that.
They're waiving interest for, and then they're going to make them pay it, right?
Well, they're doing nothing to control the actual cost of tuition at public universities.
Exactly.
Which is practically all of them now. Every university takes federal money.
So this is a good example of what they're doing, Marcine. With the students, they're waiving the interest, and then they're going to whack them several years down the road.
That's
right. Same with the debt. They're piling the debt on, and then they're going to whack people later down the road.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
It's sickening.
So do we want to play this game? That's my question.
Well, that's the thing. They've included so many small items that every party is going to agree to that even if the NDP have to jump ship, they should still find enough support to pass it, right? That's what they're looking for. That's what I see them looking for. They know what position they're in. And right now they just need however many votes, 4 or 5 to pass their laws, right? So they're throwing everything that everybody's been asking for, knowing some of them are going to vote for it.
Yeah, so that's a good point there. And I want to get back to the minimum wage thing too, because that's part of that, Marcine. They want to up it to $15. But remember, that's only federal employees.
That's right.
Under federal jurisdiction, so at airports.
Yeah.
Most Canadians, that does not apply to.
That's correct.
So, and also the timing of it is outrageous.
I mean,
the economy is in shambles. We're massively in debt, 352% per GDP, yet they're going to increase the minimum wage. Do they want to put more companies out of business?
I mean,
Yeah.
the whole section on the creating of the jobs and growth is just a fantasy.
I can't even take this seriously. I'm laughing tonight like Ken. This, this thing is an absolute joke. And, these banks and financial things are just, if you look at their write-ups, they're just, just going over, passing these main points. They never talk about the debt, how much debt they're adding, right? Because they're benefiting.
Well, yeah, they don't want to say how many cookies they're stealing from the cookie jar, right? They just want to say there's a cookie jar there.
Yeah. So the banks are the big beneficiary, aren't they, Marcine?
Of course, the banks always win.
Because
the system is not designed for the people to win.
Yeah.
No.
So the real problem here, Marcine, what's going on? There's increasing inflation.
Oh, 100%.
There's so much debt on all these governments, so they can't increase the interest
No,
rates.
a little bit of increase will send things into
Because the debt service payments will go through the roof.
No,
And then they can't run the governments, right?
That's right.
So that's why they can't do it. So what's happening? What's going to happen is inflation is just going to it's going to overheat, and then there's going to be a breakdown.
An utter collapse. See, I don't
You know what's happening in Canada? You know what's happening too, Marcine?
Tell me.
When they handed out all that money last year, most Canadians saved it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
They're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
Exactly.
They know things aren't right.
Nobody's spending. I mean, the way the banks make their money is, of course, by.
But you know what's coming? You know what's coming soon?
I do. Yes.
Like in China. You know what they do in China? They have a time limit on your savings to spend it.
Exactly.
If you don't spend it, it goes to zero.
Yeah.
The government takes it.
Yeah, you have to spend it within a certain amount of time or it expires.
That's what's coming.
Can you imagine? I know what's coming, Stephen, and none of it is good.
Yeah.
Really rather terrifying.
Yeah, here's what. Yeah, go ahead.
An utter loss of freedom. We're already slaves, but talk about full-on enslavement.
Maria says they are stealing from our pension as well. Of course.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they've been doing that for decades now.
We're also getting ripped off on the value of our pensions. Some of us 30, 40 years into it, we're not getting true value for all that investment.
Not when you adjust for inflation and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
No, the system isn't designed for us to win. All they do is, once we're issued a birth certificate and 7 years has passed, they're trading on our sovereignty. Like we're nothing but trade for them.
There's Wayne.
Just another stock to buy into.
Wayne is. Do you see it? Marcine, do you see what he's saying?
Yeah, I do. Yep, that's exactly where we're headed.
It's outrageous. I'm just blown away. But here's this document up here. Let's just go through it. There's not much change. See the digital service tax?
Yes.
Yeah.
DST coming. That's more inflation, Marcy.
It's also illegal, let me add.
Yeah, they're going to go after foreign companies, domestic too.
Yeah, all illegal.
I didn't like this interest deductibility limits. They're hurting corporations here, right? And looks like they're targeting oil and gas right here. Because they're putting limits on how much interest they can deduct, because these companies take big loans to do their exploration and production, processing.
No.
So they're actually putting limits on that.
Yeah, total enslavement. That's where they're pushing us, and have you noticed how it's picked up speed as well?
And look at this. This is who are they to say what's a luxury and what isn't? These are on vehicles, aircraft. People have been locked up for a year and a half. Don't you think they might, what if somebody works hard all their life and they want a nice car? So now they're going to face this 20% tax on top.
This is what I observe, actually. Those people who are, at the end now, in the 60s and stuff like that, who have put in their dues, put in their time, only to come to the end of it to be a slave, to have everything taken from you. Yeah.
Exactly. It's outrageous. I'm just gonna
Madness.
just tax on unproductive use. Oh yeah, this one is outrageous too. I can't believe this one on unproductive use of Canadian housing by foreign non-residents.
Right?
This is basically out of Vancouver, right?
That's it.
No, but you know what gets me on this is that they invited these people in here.
Of
They
course they
wanted
did.
them to come here,
Yes.
and this is a slap on them. It's so unjust what they're doing. These
Vancouver.
people are buying real estate and maybe a third home or second home. They may go back to China or wherever, but now the government's coming after them.
No,
So the government wants their cake and eat it too.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, everyone. That's the truth.
Vancouver went to China at least 20 years ago.
That's outrageous on that, isn't it?
It is. It's crazy. I was upset about this 20
Stephen?
years ago, but
Yes.
Sorry, I have a
Go ahead.
question.
Go ahead, Maria.
Do you have any updates on what the status is? Because they were saying that the native Indians might take back the land.
Where?
Well, the land that we own, the houses that we own, there was an interview that I saw that they're saying that the native Indian will want to take back the land that we own.
Well, there's treaties.
Mhm.
There's treaty rights, and they're all in. Some of them have been settled. Some of them are in the courts. So, um,
Yeah, I don't know how true that is.
I don't think it's true at all. But we're pretty fair with the Canadian Aboriginal people. We're honoring the treaties from long time ago, and they're getting a lot of compensation. Are things great on the reserves? No, a lot of them live in third world conditions.
Mhm.
They don't have proper water, proper sewage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drug abuse and et cetera, et cetera. So those are things NCA is very concerned about. But we're all Canadians, Maria.
Yeah.
We're all going to work together. But it's not about about them taking the land, but getting what has been already agreed to through the treaties, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the thing is, you own nothing and you be happy. So, if you have property, you have assets. How's that gonna all roll out? I mean,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't see that happen. There was a big settlement in
Yeah.
Winnipeg a few years ago, and there was a big settlement to the Métis there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we see things proceeding. They will, those treaty rights have to be, those are signed legal documents going back close to Confederation, right?
Yeah.
So they have to be honored, right? So whether
so some
through
of those
conference.
things, sorry, yeah. So some of those things that they tell us is probably just bogus, right? They're trying to.
It is
insult-
bogus. No,
Yeah.
that's absolute bogus.
That's
You
good to know.
know, no, but there are land issues, and there's a great
Mhm.
process to deal with it.
Mhm.
And myself, I have complete confidence in that process. If we don't honor those treaty rights, then we're going to have problems, right?
Right.
We're going to have conflict, a lot of conflict in this country, and I don't see us going through that route.
Yep.
So, but look into what happened in Winnipeg. That's a good example.
Mhm.
Where the Métis had actual treaty claims to large parts of the Winnipeg area, and they were justly compensated.
Mhm.
That was during the Harper regime. But you got to be careful what you hear online. But let's get back to this. I want to show you one other document on this. The electronic filing. I have issue with this, everyone here today. I'm worried about our personal information getting hacked or taken.
Oh, that's a real issue, Stephen. As
Yeah.
broke just a couple days ago about the abuses of data, personal data, particularly by Facebook. But Facebook is CIA anyways, isn't it? So is Google.
Yeah.
But that is seriously disconcerting for me. I mean, we have technology. We have blockchain technology. So I'm not comfortable with any of that unless it's in the blockchain.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is horrible. I want to show you guys one other document that I thought was pretty good. I'm just going to take this screen sharing down, And then I'm going to add this last one. I thought I had some good graphs in it.
Okay.
Where are we? Right here. It's another financial organization right here. You see it there? I'm just gonna scroll down here, but they see, they show the graph of it weaning off. This is the emergency
yeah.
wage subsidy. You see
Yeah.
it there, July 36.77, August.
That's delusional.
It
That's
is
not even-
delusional.
not
That could
possible.
actually increase.
No, that's just not even possible. That's not even in the realm of reality.
What do you think it should be, Marcia? Like, what are you saying?
Oh, Stephen, look, my outlook on that front is like, we really have to go back to the drawing board. I mean, to repeat the same old and expect a different result. I think Einstein said it first. It's insanity.
Yeah.
We really just need to scrap it all. And
Yeah, because it's
rebuild
just
just-
adding debt. It's adding debt, right?
It's not going anywhere good. So the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
way is to take, be courageous,
Yeah.
scrap a whole bunch
Yes.
of this stuff, and be willing to rebuild
Yeah.
some systems despite the pain.
Yes. Yeah. Because otherwise it'd be harder in the long term.
There's no way out of it.
Yes. Yeah. Look here. This one here too. This is on the rent subsidies. Look at it.
Oh, no.
Look at that. It's going till September 25th.
No,
Yeah.
that's craziness.
You see that? See that right there?
Yeah, a lot of the subsidies are going to September.
Yeah.
And then-
Late. And they could increase, or who knows what they're going to
Yeah.
do with them at that stage, right?
No, this is fantasy.
There it is there. Hiring subsidy too. Look, Marcy.
Yeah, no.
Look, they're still handing out
Oh.
the money, eh?
This is just, oh my gosh. A unicorn could have written this. It's just nonsense.
Yeah. It's
It's just
unbelievable.
nonsense. What about the environment? Did you take a look at that stuff too?
Yes, I did. Here's some of it, but it's on zero emission technology, but
It's
they're pressuring corporations. They're going to offer them tax benefits if they reduce their emissions.
and
Marcy.
again, yeah, and all of this environmental climate change nonsense is just bogus. It's just another way to steal money.
Yeah. Look at that.
And on top of that, not actually do anything useful or beneficial for the Great Mother on top of it. It's just a whole bunch of words.
Yes. There it is. Look at that. GST, HST to
Yeah.
e-commerce. Unbelievable. That's going to hurt places like Ontario, eh?
Oh,
And
man.
British Columbia have big HST, eh?
Yep.
And if they do follow through on it, they know for a fact the next time if God forbid they're able to do this lockdown if they need to do it again, they know they're going to recoup their tax revenues because people are shopping more online when they're at
Oh,
home.
I see. Yeah, I got you.
So it's
Yeah,
just one of those
excellent
things
point.
they're signaling ahead of time where
Yes.
they're going to recoup the revenue to
Digital
justify more of
service
this.
tax. Digital service tax. They're looking at 3%. Look at that.
Yeah, they're putting us in a position where we have no choice and then taxing us for it.
Yeah, so that's an excellent point because everyone's buying online, Ken.
Yeah.
They're buying merchandise. They're
Well,
maybe they're
even
watching
grocery
Net-
deliveries, right? You
Yeah,
got apps
groceries.
you could put them in and they'll deliver your groceries.
Mhm.
and then the malls. Like, who's going to the malls and shopping,
Nobody.
right?
So unless they're doing this, people are going to sit down and figure out, oh, it's cheaper if I go out to these places and buy things. And then all of a sudden, nope, now we get another reason to lock down again. Nope, now they're back online. Now they're paying more whether they like it or not.
And
Yeah.
while all that's happening, completely and utterly destroying small business.
Yeah, Maria says the whole plan is not sustainable financially. I'm assuming that, and you should see it socially. The chaos, the more and more chaos, it will fall apart. Very chaotic. The rollout of this whole plan was supposed to was supposed to take place in 2050. She said, I think a lot of this is connected to UN Agenda 2030,
Yeah,
UN Agenda 21,
yep.
which the government signed on to UN Agenda 2030 in 2015 under the Harper regime, and it's been implemented on all levels of government since then.
And then
So,
The, the,
so there's the budget there, and they got
really,
this the housing rebate for GST. I didn't like this one. They're going after vaping products, Marcine.
can you
They're putting
imagine?
excise duty. They're going after tobacco. They're going after luxury goods. How come they're how come they're not going after cannabis? Are they worried they're going to lose votes?
Oh, they're taxing, they're making it legal and then taxing it. So that's a revenue
Yeah.
stream. Yeah.
No, but they're going after it even more.
Oh, yeah, of
These
course they
they
are.
call it an excise duty
Yeah,
on vaping products and tobacco.
yeah.
They
Shock,
already have outrageous taxes on those things.
right? Shock and surprise. I mean,
So look at this: yachts, recreational motorboats, sailboats.
how dare we think about having fun?
Getting out there and socializing and exercising,
How dare
laughing.
recreation is a
Right?
crime.
How dare us think about getting out there,
Sailboats, like
getting
a
a
sailboat.
boat and-
You know, you could buy a small 20-foot sailboat, or or even smaller than that. But they do exclude personal watercraft, commercial fishing vehicles, all commercial, but not private fishing vehicles. You see that?
Oh,
Mhm.
no, I think we'll be reduced to basically a blow up floaty that we can-
Ferries and cruise ships are
9-foot tenor.
excluded. Floating homes are excluded.
floating homes. Oh my God, stop it.
Water scooters are excluded.
Mm.
Oh God. But this is assuming these taxes.
Well, I think they're just trying to see what they can get away with, aren't they?
Well, I
Yeah.
think Ken's right. The big one is this digital service tax.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that'll
That's
have the
the
most
big one.
impact for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're gonna see a direct impact on inflation.
Oh, almost uncertain, like without
Yeah.
any doubt. Oh yes. No, this can only end in disaster. We're heading for a tailspin. This cannot sustain.
So there's that. He's saying maybe time for new treaties. Natives aren't thrilled with the situation. Yeah, we're
agree.
going to have to address that. We're going to have proper consultation, proper meetings, proper, so everyone's on the same page. But
That's a really
that's.
sorry.
Go ahead, Marcy.
I think that's a really good point, actually, because I don't think anybody is happy about the current treaties. I think we have to revisit all of this stuff. And let me just say, for my entire life, I never appreciated that women and Indians are accepted in this country. We are all the same. We're all people.
Yeah. No, excellent point. And related to this is the whole political structure involving our Canadian Aboriginal people and the federal government.
Yeah,
You could argue, that's top down. You could argue it's corrupt.
it's a disgrace.
Yeah, and how much of that money is trickling down to the Aboriginal family on the reserve, right?
Not much of it by what I see.
So that's a big issue there. But you could argue it's the same in the mainstream system as well, right? There's issue with both, right? So.
Yep.
So we, in our Aboriginal policy, we address these issues. So, but Aboriginals, Canadian Aboriginals are integral to this country.
They absolutely are, and I think they deserve much more respect than they've been shown through my time, anyways.
It's horrible, the way they were treated with the residential schools, and then basically they were bribed off.
No, yeah, totally. It's a disgrace. It's embarrassing. I'm ashamed as a Canadian.
It is. And there are third world conditions in this country right now on the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Trudeau was saying he would address them, and he Guess what? He kept passing the buck down the road.
He never did anything. No,
Oh, he's saying we'll deal with the water,
He
you know,
cried on TV.
20 years away,
no,
right?
their basic needs, for one thing, their education, the troubles with drugs and alcohol and massive abuse. It's a disgrace and no support.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about this digital service tax now, because that's going to be a big cash grab for them, isn't it?
Yep.
And the costs are going to go up even more. We're already facing big inflation right now.
You know, people can't make it. There's no, I don't see any way that where an average person can make it in this condition and under this guise. It's not
Yeah,
possible.
people need to understand, the average Canadian doesn't understand what's happening with the debt. Okay, that money is owed to these central banks. Right now, it's over 1 trillion. 1 trillion. I'm just gonna take this down. It's over 1 trillion. It's over 1 trillion book value right now. Every year, that's service payments to the banks. Just like if you have a loan or if you have debt at home to bank, you're going to pay interest, right? The government is no different. So,
They have
and like I said, we're between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah,
Inflation is increasing, yet they can't. Normally, you increase the interest rates to deal with the inflation, but they can't do it because they have so much debt.
yeah, it's not possible. There's no way that this can end in anything.
Yeah, well, they're causing rampant inflation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now they're stuck, and now they're coming with the taxes. You saw that in the budget, right? You read through it; it's all flowery, right? And then you start to see where they're going to start gouging, right? So this is outrageous. But I want everyone to know that this has been going on since 1968.
Oh, longer than that, even I would.
Well, I'm looking at when the public lending rate shifted to the central banks.
Right.
That's when we saw the money supply take off.
That's true.
Right. So, and that's when the debt soared.
That's true.
So,
well, and to point out, sorry, Steve, JFK actually was probably one of the first presidents to openly come out and suggest that there was something deeper, darker going on in the confines of all world governments, and there was something actively happening, and he was attempting to do something about it when we had switched. So, yeah, it has been going on for quite a bit longer. Again, like to your point, when our lending rate was given away to the IMF. Yeah.
You're quite right.
That's well. I like in terms of the money supply. That's when it took off in terms of the debt.
Yeah.
Obviously there was a basis for that before then, where they were. I think this is post World War II. You could argue that they started the change, right? They dropped the gold standard right in 1971 as well. The U.S. right on the currency, and then we got into the true fiat currencies. So. This is the predicament we're in today. Another really red flag that's coming on is the Federal Reserve is not disclosing information. Like it stopped publishing the M1, M2 money supplies.
The Fed is dead.
Marcine?
The Fed is dead. Oh yes.
If they keep going as they are, we're not coming back from that, right?
The last election, I was in the debate, and I was talking about this stuff, and these establishment politicians looked at me, and they just pretended it wasn't going on, right?
Yeah, it's remarkable how they just seem to ignore it.
They were trying to say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about," right? But those are the facts.
You made an excellent point there about Kennedy warning everybody, because his speech was quite lovely, and it was days after that he was assassinated.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we can't be afraid to talk about these issues.
Absolutely not, and especially now, because there's, as I said at the top of the conversation, all the markers are there to indicate that the deletes, it's over. Like the deep state is over. But we've got to get through a little bit of messiness here. I think there's brighter times coming for us, but
good to know.
So what do you see, Marcine? Like, because right now they have all the control. Right now they're implementing this so-called Great Reset. So how are they going to relinquish? Are you saying the dollar is going to collapse? The fiat currencies are going to collapse?
It has no choice, but I do think I do think we're in a state now, and believe me, I feel strongly that the white hats are in full and complete control. And I think particularly in Canada, things are being allowed to play out in a certain way, hoping that the masses come to their senses and snap out of it and wake up. But I do think that there's some great things happening behind the scenes. Everything is like operationally, it's live right now, so we're not really party to all of the I see it as an iceberg, really. A little, we get glimpses of some things that are happening, but so much is going on underneath the surface. And while it seems like we're headed for hell in a handbasket, I do believe that there's and I know this actually. I've done the research and confirmed, and I need 3 confirmations. For over a year now, there's a parallel system that's been, we've been running on a parallel system for over a year now. And I do believe that when it all collapses, that system will kick in and we'll realize a complete and utter new way. I think that's what's coming for us. And this
is what's that alternative system? What's it comprised of?
It's the quantum financial system.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever looked into what's his name, Gould and Miller, and this has a lot to do with admiralty and common law. So there's so many significant things that have happened to indicate that that whole system. This is a lot to unpack, but basically the cabal created a system for thousands of years where we've already been enslaved. And illegally as well. But all of that system, and it's complicated. I could unpack that for you in a whole other conversation. But basically, the whole thing has been taken down, and we can see it in some of the things that have happened, like the situation in the Suez Canal. So many things going on there, but symbolically, I guess the way to say it is, when we're born born of the water. So we're docked as a vessel by the doctor. A hospital is considered a boat parked on the land. The birth certificate brings you into ownership in the Masonic system. And it's a global corporate construct. Every government operates under the same guise. But long and short is that whole system, and by the boat being grounded, was sort of symbolic of saying to the cabal, it's over. You no longer own us. We are no longer slaves. No longer presumed to be lost at sea. Super significant and really interesting. But Miller and Gould actually rewrote. There's oh man, this is a lot to talk about, but there's 4 parts of it. The elementals contract, the strategic metals contract, I can't remember the third one, and the dictionary. But this is really great story, but long and short is Gould and Miller rewrote the language of it and was uncontested in a court of law. And since then, this has to do with bankrupting the USA. Bush was willing to surrender the United States back to the crown in 1999. That did not happen. There's a lot of events, but long and short is we're no longer the bitches of the cabal. And so this quantum financial system, I think Gould had something to do with writing that as well. So the whole language of the contracts that we've been slave to for hundreds of years is over. And so the quantum financial system has been rolling parallel for quite a while now, and there's evidence of it. There's some people who have actually noticed things in their banking situation. So I think we're going to see some really interesting changes, and I think it'll be triggered by, all right, the election fraud. That's one of the dominoes. And I do know that the Three Gorges Dam is significant in this matter because it's, I mean, it's cracked, but that thing is going to go down. And what happens, I mean, the signals are look to the water. So we've had the ship in the canal, and then now we've got the Three Gorges Dam. And when that dam breaks, what it's likely going to do is wipe out a whole bunch of evil, demonic, big pharma, adrenochrome, organ harvesting, child sex trafficking, that dirty, nasty stuff, and a lot of Bitcoin mining, the dark part of the Bitcoin, all going to be flooded out. So
Interesting. Would you consider those black swans
it's a little bigger than
bigger than those, eh?
Yeah.
So Maria has a comment here, Marcine.
Yeah.
She says the leads did not anticipate so much adverse effects from the dabs. Only a matter of time. So many are having severe side effects from the dab. Also, China, Russia, Iran have signed a 25 strategic agreement, and this is a threat for the so-called elites. That's
correct.
Yeah, that's true. So there's a lot going on, but I think financially, Marcine, we can't get away from the massive debt of this world.
I think
the markets.
Like we spoke last time, Stephen, the Vatican went down, of course.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, not only the Vatican, but the whole triad, DC, London, and the Vatican, all gone. They've recovered, and I have a picture here that I meant to show you because we talked about this last time. Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking. So much gold has been recovered. And one thing the cabal does do is keep excellent records on all the things they've stolen across the ages. So I think that money's coming back to the people. Yeah.
Okay. But if and when this correction or collapse happens, there's going to be a lot of hurt, Marcine.
There's going to be some discomfort and some pain. But what I would say to that is, now is not a time to entertain fear, like no time ever before. Like, make no mistake, we're in a war. This is World War III, and it's not about guns and bombs. This is good and evil. And like you can't put your head in the sand and deny that those forces exist.
Yeah,
it's happening.
No, excellent point. So we're trying to make a difference, Marcine, and we're trying to raise awareness. That's all we can do. We want to talk about real issues. We want to be honest about what's going on.
Exactly.
And I just want to talk. Something occurred to me after reading this budget. I just want to. How do we get? Anyways, Marcine, and everyone else here in attendance tonight. It was a beautiful day yesterday for me here in Alberta. The sun was shining, and I was getting great benefit from the sun because it's been quite cloudy, snowy, rainy weather, right? So the sun's coming down, and it occurred to me, I'm wondering when they're going to tax the sun. You know what I mean? That's one of the most beautiful free things out there, right?
Get outside, enjoy the air and the
sun.
No,
but it's so free and beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, there's no tax. There's no restrictions, right?
That's right.
They have sunscreen to try and cover it up, but that's a good analogy there of what's free and what isn't, right?
Yeah.
And
so,
Stephen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bill Gates said that he's going to cover the sun eventually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and but and charge or charge usage, right? They would love to do that, but I'm surprised that's not in the budget, eh? Like a tax on the sun, right? Sunbathing, right? Because that's one of the beautiful things in life, right? That you can, every living thing loves to bask in the sun. Whether you're a dog or some other animal, right? Human.
Yep.
It nourishes
Good source
us.
of vitamin D.
It gives us vitamin D. And
Mhm.
I was just thinking about that, Marcine, in the context of what you were saying, and the debt and all these taxes, and there are some free things out there still, believe it or not, and it's good to keep them in mind. It allows you to understand what's going on, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we're laughing at it now, but I wouldn't put it past them to try and tax our fresh air and sunshine. Kind of like
Yeah,
that movie, The Fifth Element, where they
because
shut off the oxygen.
I was enjoying it so much, and there's got to be a tax on this, right? But this debt stuff is serious. Everyone, please take it seriously. The
It
U.S.
is,
debt now is approaching 30 trillion. We're over 1 trillion in Canada. Just federally, we're over 1 trillion now. It's 1.13 trillion. They're just adding more on. They're going to add in probably more than 100 billion this year.
it's
That's their
crazy.
estimate. It'll probably be 150 billion. These banks are controlling everything.
The irresponsibility is staggering.
Yeah, I don't. Does anyone have anything else to add? I can't share anymore, but share your comments tonight. Oh, beautiful. I love. Where's
Wow.
that, Marcine?
That's just from the Vatican. That's the Vatican alone. That's
What? That's the
100
Vatican?
and in the tunnels
Wow.
underneath the Vatican, 160
Yeah, but-
miles of this. That's how
Oh
much
my
wealth.
God.
Like the
Wow.
wealth is that
Well,
we've
it's been operating as a bank for millennia now. So
it's been stealing from the people since the beginning of time. So
Mm.
I say, and I don't, I'm cautious to say things that are, fantasy, but I do believe that that's coming back to the people.
Well, let's hope so.
All the indicators are there. I mean,
But you can see China's concerned. They've actually opened up any company, private, public, to buy gold.
yeah,
They are concerned with what's going on. Russia's buying up a lot of gold right now,
yes, yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
not only individuals, but there's countries out there,
Oh, yes,
right?
yeah. But there's, gold isn't as rare as people are led to believe it is. And when the cabal took the gold, their interest in it is not for wealth. It's about capturing the energy of the planet on the ley lines, because the gold is what they use to build that energy grid. So that's what gold is to them.
It's also wealth to the
It
individual,
is.
right?
It is
Wealth.
wealth.
What
It is
what
wealth to
about
us.
yeah? What about depleting our supply of wealth? Right, trying to deplete it from obtaining it. Do you think?
Yeah, there is a possibility, Maria, that they may start confiscating individual gold
That
from
actually
people.
happened.
Yeah, it's already happened once.
Yep.
Mhm.
It didn't work.
So there is I'm surprised that wasn't in the budget, eh? Like Canada sold off all its gold reserves.
Yeah.
Trudeau
Yeah.
just finished it off. I don't understand that. Apparently it had something to do. You couldn't collect interest on the gold or something. There was some kind of accounting thing that I think led to that.
Yeah. What a grab. What
Yeah.
nonsense.
I mean, ultimately, that's what you're using gold for, is to back your loans, right? To make your money worth something, and then that's how you would normally collect the interest on it. But if you're going to maintain a high level of debt, you're not going to be able to lend money out. So ultimately, you got to get rid of it if you want it to be worth something. That's the justification in that case.
Mm.
Did you understand that, Marcy?
It sounds a little distorted to me. Like if that's some kind of a justification, it's
Yeah, that's just because me and Ken are both in the same room. I'm trying to mute it down as much as I can, but I can't. So
Yeah, so this is really interesting. Does anyone have anything else to add tonight? I don't want to drag this out for everyone.
Yeah.
But we can do a follow-up as well. But go ahead, James.
I was just going to say, for anybody watching this video today, take the time to go on to the Government of Canada website, and even download the budget and take a look at it. Some of it won't make sense to everybody. They've put some pretty interesting details in there, on how they try to justify spending this money that looks so basic, but yet the numbers are just so wrong, especially in regards to, what was it, subsidies. So, for example, man and woman owns their business. They had to lay off 3 people. Their average
Oh.
was 40 hours a week at equals $600 per person per week times, X equals Y and Z. And then they went on to say the wage subsidy is 16,000 for the individual, but they're not talking about the rent or the overhead or the water and the hydro and everything else that's being used. So they've kind of shot themselves in the foot on that end, just to try to say that a bookstore was only making, if you broke it down, was like $1,800 a day, or less. And it's like, that's a pretty good bookstore if they're doing that. Maybe, and then really down in the city, right? Like a bookstore here in my area wouldn't be doing that at all. So there's a lot of overlays and misinformation within the actual information they've given you. So when you realize that, and then go with the Liberal track record of how many promises do they keep to how many they actually follow through on, you ultimately come to the conclusion that chances are most of this stuff isn't going to happen. So then it's just going to be more useless spending. And that's what we have to recognize as Canadians, and go, okay, who's next? Because we don't trust that one, that party. We don't trust that party. The NDP are crazy. Green Party has been around for how long and barely has any seats. Their leader doesn't even technically have a seat. So, there's opportunity here, but Canadians need to realize this, that they gotta dig down some brass and do some research, because ultimately that's where we become more informed.
Here, here.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, it's just same status quo, right? They're just going to keep doing what they're doing. But remember, James, the so-called liberals, I bet you $1,000 right now that they didn't write that document, that it was done by the bureaucrats, by the Privy Council, by the people in the shadows, and that they had some say on it.
Oh, 100%. Me and
Yeah,
Ken were talking
yeah.
about it, and we're like,
Because that's
you,
establishment right behind the scenes doing
you
it.
look at the 770
Right,
pages,
right.
you're like, it's so written out, and it looks like it took so much time. It
Yeah.
takes more time for the Liberal Party to do anything than a budget. So that budget that is well written, well versed on every topic, from every key topic from every party, so that they cannot vote it down.
They must have had thousands of bureaucrats working on that, Marcine.
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
agree with your point there. I mean,
But it shows the
725
bureaucracy in the
pages.
government. They're basically the same,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. One thing about these people, they are not clever, nor are they creative. No.
yeah. So I view these establishment politicians are just they're kind of like the puppets on the stage.
Yep.
It's just a stage, and they're there to distract and to create a sense of legitimacy. But we got to look through it. Who's calling the shots? The central banks are. That's why I put up these banking documents today. Like they were kind of praising the budget, and well, we're gonna have to watch this, because they have these forecasts. They may end up increasing the spending. Who knows? They're talking about these variants. We see what's going on in India. We don't know what's coming.
I think Canada needs to educate themselves and put their little foot down, like stomp your little foot down and just say no. I mean, we are powerful beyond.
Yeah.
There's just no place for us to be complacent anymore.
But the problem is some people like the handouts. They don't see the bigger picture of what it's doing.
I know
You
it's
know,
dangerous.
and I think about those families out there that are paying a lot for childcare, and they probably welcome this, but they don't realize that this is straight debt,
That's what I'm
and
talking about.
and
Yeah,
it's just sinking the country.
it's dangerous. People have,
Very dangerous.
yeah, people, I know
We
there's
can't
kids.
afford this. We
No,
cannot afford this. Period.
and this is
This
what
is
I'm saying.
it's kind of ironic. I'm thinking now further. They had tax on luxury items. Well, I'll tell you that childcare plan they have, that's a luxury, which we cannot afford.
Oh, child care.
Right? Right?
It seems it's reasonable to expect that a family could buy a house and raise their children and, have a happy life, but they're just
Yeah.
really not with that program at all.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, okay. I don't want to drag this off. We're going to
Yeah.
close it off here, everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining.
Thank you, Stephen.
Hold on a sec. We got one last question here, Maria. How is the universal income going to work? 2,000 a month. Who knows what they're going to give people? I don't think it'll be 2,000 a month, Maria. Like they'll be just on the verge of poverty, these people, and
Yeah.
they'll be completely dependent on government. You're basically, you might as well look into the Hunger Games. It might as well be on a treadmill, right?
100%.
And then they're gonna tell them to take vaccines. They're gonna tell them to do this. They're gonna tell them, your life will be hell. So, this is. We want to support the freedom of Canadians to pursue their activities as long as it's not harming other people, right? So there's a lot of merit to free enterprise, and that's what built this country. But we're getting away from it. This budget has so much socialism in there. You would argue it's borderline communism.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. If people don't think if people think we're not in a communist regime, you're deluded.
Yeah, you see it there, and this dependency should ignite fear in people. This dependency on government, this nanny government. This is I want everyone to know the money in this budget. It's not your money; it's your debt, because this is 100% debt. Because we're a debtor nation, so they are actually spending money we don't have. Your money, you're going to have to pay it back future generations.
And it's not possible. With that said, we can't overcome this.
But you're right. I've listened to a lot of economic analysts, Marcine,
Yeah.
and they said exactly what you said. We should do the hard thing now. Otherwise, it's going to get worse.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
The pain's going to be even more severe.
Worse. I know.
But I come back to the basic premise. Why the hell did they even lock down this country? Why didn't they let most of the people get on with their lives and throw all their energy in protecting the most vulnerable?
That wherein lies the problem.
Yes.
They're not trying to. They're trying to kill us.
Yeah, you could argue that. Maria's nodding. So this could go on all night. We're getting into depopulation, but maybe we should have another session on that. Maria, what do you think?
Amazing.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that subject. It's real. There is a part of the UN. They have different programs that talk about that. This isn't made up.
Man.
It's quite terrifying.
No, people need to wake up. And Canadians are peaceful, but I think that we need to be.
But this is. But no, hold on. But this budget is worldwide. This is happening in so many countries.
No, this is true. I mean, but the way the deletes think about it is globally. Like they are trying to literally overthrow the world.
Well, they have a machine. They have a machine. They got the media. They got the puppet politicians. They have the judges, which are appointed, right?
Every power structure is owned by them. And if people don't get that, I don't know what to tell you. Like they are solidly locked down in every single power structure: education, justice, banking, everywhere. It's fully locked down.
And the censorship. But fortunately, I think some of our censorship has been reduced. So
it's about to get more.
No, but we'll see how long it lasts. But
Yeah.
I noticed that we're getting more views on our videos, and we're starting to reach the critical mass like we were before. But
Right.
we'll see how long that lasts.
Let's
But
keep-
I want to thank everyone for joining tonight. We're going to have to close this down, but this was a great session. We'll do another one in a couple of weeks, and let's not be afraid to talk about these issues, and let's be honest. Let's be direct to the Canadian people because they have to be informed.
I couldn't agree with you more.
They have the power. We have to empower them.
All the power is with the people. So we got to keep talking.
I agree.
Yeah, no, that'll be the message going forward. Just
Yeah, we
empowering
gotta
them
keep-
through knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna, let's plan something in 2 weeks. We're gonna have a meeting on Thursday, and we can discuss a potential topic there, and hopefully we can reach consensus on that. But let's not be afraid, everyone. Let's be real. Let's base it on facts. Let's
Quite
base
right.
it on the reality on the ground. Everything I say, I can back up everything I said today. Anyone who wants to fact check me, go ahead. Everything is there. It's true. It's a sad reality. And Marcine gave us a big overview, and I appreciate James and Ken and Maria, all the feedback from them.
Thank you for having me today, Stephen.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
lovely to be here
Thank
and
you.
chat
Yeah,
with all.
excellent stuff, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank
Well,
you.